next we want to hear from a few homeowners who have actually themselves installed heat pumps and wanted to share their experiences with you all as you think about making this switch. So I'll ask each of you to first just introduce yourself, where you live, and why you decided to get a heat pump or a heat pump water heater. And Wendy, do you want to kick us off?
Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone for joining today. My name is Wendy Mihalik. My husband and I live in a 70-year-old home in San Diego, California. That's climate zone 7 for those who are interested in climate zones. We came to the decision to put in heat pump technology in our home from an environmental perspective. We wanted to decarbonize. And we've been successful in doing that. As I was explaining earlier to some of the folks before this chat, we had our gas meter removed. So we no longer have a gas meter on our home. And I have a lot more to say, but I think we're just supposed to do our introduction right now, right? Okay.
Yes. Thanks, Wendy. And how about you, Emily?
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to see you all. My name is Emily Kelly Fisher, and I live in Denver, Colorado. And we were lucky enough to install a heat pump and heat pump water heater in January of this year. We started looking into replacing just our gas furnace. That was the start. And it was honestly mostly practical. Our gas furnace was nearing the end of its life. And we also didn't have central cooling at the time. So we were using window AC units, and the idea that we could have one appliance that would both heat and cool was really appealing. And then in addition, the city of Denver started offering really generous rebates last summer that stacked on top of Xcel Energy's existing rebates for these electrification projects. So all of those sort of added up to, it makes sense to look into doing this now. And then it was also really appealing, the idea of eventually getting off gas in our home.
And how hard or easy was it for each of you to find a qualified contractor to work with for your heat pump?
So Emily, I'll take this one first and hand it off. We got 4 bids. And it took a while. That was out of a field of maybe 10 or 12 companies that we contacted and contractors. So 4 of them had experience with heat pumps. When we got those bids, they were all kind of about the same. We actually did both the HVAC and the water heater at the same time because we wanted to get the economy of trying to electrify at once, specifically with the electrical circuits that were going to be added to these different areas. So we were able to find a company we selected based on their experience with heat pump hot water heaters. And as far as the HVAC they had been installing those as well. So that's how our selection ended up coming to play. So Emily.
Awesome. Yes, I really wish that I had Jane's tips before I started on this project because I started cold calling HVAC contractors last summer and got pretty discouraged with people telling us that they didn't work with heat pumps, or hearing that I lived in Colorado and telling me I needed a gas furnace backup. And so then I was like, what is the point of installing a new gas furnace in addition to a heat pump? Why would I do this project? Anyway, so I eventually sort of lost steam. And then we read a Colorado Public Radio article about electrification, and Elephant Energy was quoted in the article. So my husband said, why don't you give them a call? And I did. And it was really exciting. They led by asking me what my goals for the project were. They were really knowledgeable about the rebates and tax credits that were available. They, as Zachary was saying, they did the calculation to determine whether we would need a backup heat source, taking into account the size of our home, how insulated we are by our neighbors, where we were located, not just Colorado, but that we're in downtown Denver. And it just clicked immediately, and we had a really good feeling that we were working with a vendor who shared our goals and visions for the project. So that was it. That we were happy once we found Elephant.
Mm-hmm. And how did each of you figure out what type and size of system that you needed?
Well, again, from the contractors that bid, we discussed with them. We're in a 2-story, 2,600 square foot home. We wanted a zonal system. We took out the gas furnace and used the same ducts for the ducted heat pump. We quickly came to a decision on the actual hardware. We have a Daikin Fit, and we love it. It's a 5-ton, 17 SEER system. It's awesome. But I want to just back up a minute and say, part of our journey started with the solar that we installed over time. And we took 3 tranches on the solar to finally get all of the solar that we wanted on the house to truly electrify, including an electric vehicle. And that's why an electrification plan for people who are really interested in doing this for their home, it's not just one appliance, it's all of them. And it's getting all of the circuits involved, looking at your panel. I mean, doing 3 steps on a solar install is not wise. And if I had planned it out better from the start, we would have put what we needed in place and then gone from there. Same thing with the electrician. I mean, we had a hard time getting the HVAC people and the plumbing people to put the electrical in, not only for their systems, but also for the induction cooktop. They wouldn't touch it. So we still had to go out. So anyway, electrification plans for homeowners are really important. Think it through.
Yeah, I'll just quickly follow up on what Wendy said. Electrification plans are a great idea. We backed into our heat pump water heater because they pulled out the gas furnace and realized that the water heater was shot. So it can be done the other way. I just don't recommend it. But if something breaks, it's at least worth asking, can it be replaced with an electric appliance, even if you haven't done all of this legwork ahead of time? Because it can be done. It's just not always as easy.
Thanks for both of you. And we'll make sure to share with everyone our Environment America Research and Policy Center's Clean Energy Home Toolkit that includes some of these steps as well for thinking through, okay, is it the heat pump that you need to do? And what about solar? And what about your vehicle? And how all these pieces fit together. So we'll make sure that folks get that. I'm curious, just how's it working? Like, are your heat pumps and heat pump water heaters doing what you need them to do?
Fantastic. I mean, no problems. The gas furnace was like, and this heat pump HVAC is just, it gets up, it stays, goes down. It's a variable system. It's wonderful. So it's not noisy. As far as the energy efficiency, I have to admit that with the solar, we are overkill. So we don't pay anything for any of our needs. We just get it all from the sun. But I wanted to add one other thing with the water heater. Our water heater was in a little closet outside, and we were concerned about airflow with the heat pump. And we contacted the manufacturer, who happened to be Bradford White, and they looked at the situation and said, you just put a louver in the door and you can put this heat pump in a smaller area and it will be fine. And we've had it in for 2 years and everything's great.
Yes, as Rob said, it's gotten really cold here in January and February, and we've been happy with our heat pump. We've stayed warm, and I'm a cold person, so I would not be shy about saying that I'm cold. It's been great.
That's great. And I know, Wendy, you're sharing you hardly pay for utilities now since you also have solar. I'm curious, Emily, if you've noticed much of a difference in energy savings.
It's really hard to say because of how many things we changed all at once. We also swapped out the windows. So it's definitely possible that we will save money, but also we live in 600 square feet. So saving money was not our main goal. We already have a pretty low energy bill by nature of where we live and how our house is shaped. But it's possible we will, and that would be great.
Sure. And then have either of you found that it works better to, as you're trying to manage the heat pump, whether to turn it off all the way when you're not using it versus turning it down? How do you choose to manage your system?
We turn it off. I mean, when we go to bed at night, we turn it off just because we conserve energy, and we don't want to use it at night. I don't like to have heat at night anyway, but we're in San Diego, not Colorado. So
sure.
Yeah. I think it depends a lot on where you are, and the heat pump is better at maintaining a constant temperature than it is at going down and up and warming your house back up. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to talk to your contractor about, like, what is the best, most efficient way to use this.
Sure. Good advice. And then do you have any other tips before we go to more general Q&A, tips for people that are interested in making the switch?
Well, I would just say, again, emphasize, plan it out, think it through. If you want to get that electric fireplace eventually, put in the circuit now, see that your box is adequate. Check it out. And also there's a lot more, there's opportunity to keep a 100-amp panel and still electrify your whole home. So there are ways that you can do that, and lots new appliances coming on the market. So, and no, I just see in the chat, do I have batteries? No, I don't have batteries. We let the utility company be our battery storage for now.
Maybe that could be next.
Yeah, just to echo Wendy, especially because supply chains are still a little tight, and this is going to become more popular as the IRA credits are kicking in. It is good to plan ahead if you'd like to do this. If your furnace breaks and it's 18 degrees outside, it's not always possible to walk into Home Depot and buy a heat pump that you can pop in. You'll want to have done that sizing work ahead of time and found a contractor that you can work with. So if you think that your appliance is nearing the end of its life, it's a great idea to just start talking to contractors and start sizing out a system that you might want to replace it with, even if you're not ready to pull that trigger right away.
And I would just add one other note to Emily's comment, and that is, you know, when you think about it, yes, temperature, cold, you want to get the heater right away, but most people won't want to live without hot water for more than 48 hours. So if you can put the electricity out to where your water heater will be switched out, you won't have to switch like with like. You can get off the gas.